How are you? We're live right now as we speak.
How many we got?
Hi, Pastor. How are you?
Fine,
I figure both sides of me. Is that okay?
Yeah.
You'd be comfortable with that?
Will they be able to see us? Or
Yeah, we'll
back it up? All right.
we'll get really cozy.
That's cool. Hi, folks.
There we go.
You screamed that.
Yeah, so I wonder actually if we do it the other way, if we're back that way.
You have the
Yeah, okay. So you guys are gonna have to come in a little more. Oh, there you go. Okay, he's in.
I'm in.
There we go.
Should we back up the table?
How's that?
There we go. There we go. There we go.
We're there.
Hello?
Look like I'm on the wrong other
Yeah, I know. I don't.
Okay. Looks really bizarre. Okay.
Hold on, we gotta get Pastor Urban there too.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, there we go. You're gonna have to lean over a little more. I know these are both
Hi.
chairs.
There we go.
Okay, all right.
Michael's gonna have to chaperone
I
this.
know.
You know that. Got the God Squad in the house. And
Vaccinated and boosted, so we're all safe. So if anyone's concerned. Anyway, hi everyone. This is Diane, not sure on your screen. Oh, hi Diane, that's okay. No, you're not on my screen. I just see the things that everyone's posting. Hi Christine, how are you? So anyway, we're gonna start. I'll introduce myself. Some of you might not know me. My name is Ina Phillip. I am a full-time resident of Hemlock Farms. I've raised 3 kids here. It was our summer home 12 years ago, and 6 years ago, we made it full-time. I've been married to my husband for nearly 30 years. I am an associate broker at Century 21 Country Lake Homes. That's right outside of the community. I love to spread the good word about Hemlock Farms. So I have a newsletter, and I like to say
religious connotation, the good word. I mean, have you noticed
the good word.
that?
Well,
the good word is the good news or the good world. How does that work?
Yeah, something like that.
Kimberly says a podcast of positivity. So that's what we're
Okay.
about. So
That sounds like Kimberly. That sounds like you're right.
That
Yeah.
is Kimberly. So anyway, she's awesome. Kim works at the church.
Yes.
Actually, I had to do it backwards.
Kim won?
I don't know. Not yet that I can see. We have Bernice that just came on. So that's awesome. So anyway, I'm sure everybody knows these gentlemen sitting next to me. Rabbi Bickhart of the Jewish Fellowship, Pastor Erb of the Church of Hemlock
I don't
Farms.
have a first name and you don't have a last name.
Yes, I noticed.
You noticed that when
They complete each other, just so that you know.
we take this on the road.
We're the Herb Bickart group.
The Herb Bickart.
I did call him Rabbi Herb the
I've
other
been
day,
called
right?
Father Bickart. Rabbi Ryan called me Father Bickart.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, so I want you to get to know these gentlemen and, you know, what they're about in Hemlock Farms. Rabbi Bickhart, do you want to start? Like, when did you move to Hemlock Farms? When did you start the fellowship?
I moved here November 1st, 2001.
Uh-huh.
My interview at the fellowship was the weekend, the Sunday after 9/11.
Okay.
So I have been here 21 years
A Hemlock Farms resident.
as a Hemlock Farms resident.
Uh-huh. And were you at a fellowship or synagogue before? Or
Oh yeah, I've been doing this 42 years.
Oh, so you come with some experience.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. Still learning.
Good, good.
Yeah, I came to the fellowship for the first time. My first tour of duty, as I call it, was 2001 to 2006. Then I took a part-time job in Long Beach, New York, where I met my current wife, and came back. I was always living in Hemlock, was commuting, and retired from that rabbinical job in Long Beach in 2014, and came out of retirement in 2018.
Okay, and we're so happy you did. Thank you, thank you. Pastor Herb, when did you come to Hemlock Farms and when did you start the church?
At the end of February next month,
Uh-huh.
it'll be 19 years.
Oh, wow.
So he beat me by a couple of years anyway. But my wife and I came here at that point to become the pastor of the church. It was our first venture up here. It was actually in December earlier that we were here to interview and see how that went, and that went well, obviously, from both the church's point of view and mine.
Yeah.
And
so you came here with the intention to lead the church.
that's correct. Not my first time in the pastorate. I had a church for 16 years in the Chicago area.
Oh, okay.
And for 22 years prior to that, I was a college professor
Okay.
in the Chicago area.
Okay. So it's a little different, Chicago versus Hemlock Farms, huh?
No, got the same amount of traffic. You got the
Because
same amount of cold. You got the same amount of snow.
basically that's right. But
Because I lived in Chicago
He
for
lived
11
in
years.
Chicago.
Oh, do you guys know each other from there? No.
Actually, no, but we were like right down the street from each other.
Right.
It was really funny.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So, but you two met here.
Yes.
Okay. So when did you meet and what was the start of all that?
Oh, that's a good question.
I think it was Father Hawley that called us all together.
I think you're right.
Father
Father
Gary
Gary Hall,
and I
yeah.
just to sit down and talk about the houses of worship in Hemlock Farms.
Uh-huh.
And,
You started in the summer.
oh, in February, the end of February.
Okay, so
Mhm.
I was
Isn't it
I was off. I was not working in February. I was off till May. So
It took me a while to get to know people here.
yeah, so I'm
So I
thinking,
can't really
I'm
tell you
thinking that
Much of the first
we
meeting.
had was I think something to do with Memorial Day.
Mm,
I think it was one of
Yes.
the ecumenical services of the Memorial Day. And I think we met over at the rectory.
Mhm.
Okay,
I think that's
and that's when we found out that Father Hawley could really cook.
yes,
Yeah.
So who's Father Hawley?
Oh, Father Hawley was great.
he was the pastor or the priest
At
at
St. John.
Newman's,
Oh, okay.
and used to do 16 turkeys
Yeah.
every Thanksgiving
Yeah.
for people in his parish.
Oh,
Wait, cook them?
Mhm,
yeah. Oh, he could.
He was a good cook.
The man knew his way around a kitchen.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. And
Yeah.
so
Miss him terribly. He's a super nice guy.
he sounds like a great force.
He retired from the priesthood in
Oh, don't ask me because I'm not good on
2005,
that's about right.
2004. I remember we went to his last
Right.
place. Was the only time I've ever seen the church packed.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so
Okay. And so what was the synagogue like when you first came here? So, what was it
well,
like and what's it like now?
there's a misnomer. The fellowship is not a synagogue.
Correct. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
Fellowship is basically a community center that has services and adult education, social events, and concerts, and all sorts of things. A sisterhood had at one time an active brotherhood. So, as the main function of the fellowship is obviously Sabbath services and whatnot. When I came here in 2001, had approximately 190 to 200 family units, singles, whatever. When I left in 2006, it had grown to about 230,
Wow.
235. When I came back in 2018, it was approximately 75.
Okay.
And now we're back over 100, about 102, 101, 100.
COVID helped that a little bit?
I think I would say yes.
Mhm.
Well, you're the realtor.
Well, yes.
Yeah, I do send you, referrals. I think I would say COVID did a couple of things. Yeah, there was a migration from the larger cities here, but also we discovered, I think Herb could probably also address this with the church. We discovered a lot of Jews living in the outlying areas that didn't know we existed. And a lot of it had to do with our president at the time, Dan Marcus, insisting on a new website and starting to get some marketing out. All of a sudden, people discovered us.
Right.
So yeah, I would say that 60% COVID, 40% marketing.
Yeah, great.
And so we had about 30 plus families that joined us.
Plus, we're the only Jewish presence in Pike County.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was, when you were first there, what was programming like and what's programming like now? Do you remember?
Yeah.
It's a long time ago.
It's not that long ago. I think the biggest change is we did major concerts at the fellowship. We did symphonic concerts. We did, I established in 2001 with your predecessor, Pastor Duncan, the Hemlock Farms Choral Society, which I'm playing with the idea of bringing back.
Oh, that would be great.
Not this year, maybe in a year or so, but playing with the idea. And we did concerts at the church. We did concerts at St. John Newman's. We did concerts at the fellowship. We did full symphonic productions of, we did Mendelssohn's Elijah. We did Handel's Messiah. We did a full Messiah. We have actually hope to do this coming winter will be the 20th anniversary of the first Messiah that was done at the church in Hemlock Farms. It's one of the goals to see if I can get that done.
Cool.
This coming year. So we did major things, and we had some major backers. Those people have moved on, passed on. So we would easily get 400 people in the fellowship when we opened up the doors.
Oh, wow.
Now we don't.
Yeah.
Now we're getting 100 to 150 people, but we've upgraded our sanctuary sound system. It's now becoming state of the art. And I'm hoping this summer to start again to bring concerts back and whatnot.
Oh, that would be beautiful. That would be beautiful. So I know that you have a lot of great programming right now. I talk to Kim all the time. And I know you do a lot of community outreach. What was the church like when you first came, and how has it grown, and how is it different, better, or worse right now? I know it's fabulous now.
Well, yes and no. I mean, with COVID, we're restricted in a lot of ways, and there's we've got still an aged determined group.
Yes.
And a lot of them can't drive at night, so that curtails evening activities of various kinds. And others are still a little leery because they've got underlying conditions, and they don't want to expose their own bodies to the potential of COVID or anything else. So we're still struggling with that.
But you're doing a Facebook Live, or you're doing your services like that.
Yes, and we have a pretty good number of people that watch, good number that come to the church, a good number that watch on Facebook. And Kim was telling me today that the numbers of people watching has experienced an uptick.
Oh, nice.
So there are a few more people watching now than had been before.
Okay, good.
And sometimes it's just there are people that want to check up on what's going on at the church in particular. Some of my friends out in Wisconsin or Chicago, and they said, we're checking up on you once in a while. That includes my family.
Okay, that's nice to know. People are checking on you.
Making sure you're still okay, kind of thing. But there's a good number of people that are doing that. Stopping by the church to see what's going on. I think in the beginning, the big project we got involved in was the ecumenical or interfaith activities. And the interfaith activities, we had the Holocaust to remember, and I should come back to that. I think that's what David spoke at that at one point in time.
I think you're right.
And then the Memorial Day, and then
we had I think the first one was the Thanksgiving. I think was the ecumenical Thanksgiving. I mean, that's morphed into something different, but originally, I think that was the initial.
That could have been the first one, but I wasn't here for the first, and you were. So, I mean, I was here for my first one.
Yeah, I'm talking about that's when things changed, because what happened at the time, we didn't have an ecumenical council. We had 3 spiritual leaders who basically looked and did something a little bit strange. We looked at Reverend Duncan and said, "You're the senior, you're the senior guy. You do it," which in retrospect probably wasn't the brightest idea, but I was new to the community. Father Hawley just came in like about a month before I did. So we were like the new kids on the block, and we were both about the same age, and Duncan was a good 15, 20 years older than us, and we weren't going to rock the boat with him. And look, when I first wanted to do the first Holocaust service at the fellowship in 2002, and I wanted to make it ecumenical, I ran into a little bit of resistance. I mean, eventually we did it.
Well, I know it's loved now, all the interfaith things.
Yeah, but it's more us. I think you guys need to understand is that besides being spiritual leaders of our respective congregations, Herb and I are really good friends.
I know. That's awesome. It's like a joke, you know?
Yeah,
I said the rabbi and the pastor are having a hard time getting on Zoom. There's a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so great.
We look at, I guess, at ecumenical services not as an us or them rivalry, but as common ground. And the church and the fellowship do a lot of things together. And it's what makes Hemlock, to me, extremely unique and extremely spiritual.
I love that. I mean, it's the same thing.
That's what I love about Hemlock Farms.
I love it. I mean, it's the same thing about the activities that go on. They're intergenerational. So like you might have an older person running a club, but then younger people come. So it's I always call it an intergenerational year-round recreational community. So we are an interfaith sort of community. I mean, I love the women's tea. You know, one house of worship always hosts it in case everybody doesn't know. And they all take turns. And while the fellowship ladies and the church ladies sort of sit at their respective tables, we do all sort of intermingle and listen to each other, which is really, really beautiful.
Besides that, you have awfully good food.
Some years better than others, but yeah, in general, it is pretty good.
We do have a uniqueness, is that both Pastor and I, besides talking often, we try to assess the needs of the community. COVID really streamlined that, I think. I think really streamlined it for me, that we began to see a lot of cracks, that things were not covered. His second harvest that Kim and Pastor run, which I'm grateful to be allowed to participate in.
What's the second harvest?
That's the food pantry.
The food pantry.
Okay, great.
That's on the
Mondays.
Fellowship, yeah, the fellowship is deeply engaged in that. Members contribute regularly. I do fundraising events for them. It's almost as if it's not a church project, it's a community project.
Right, yeah.
He set me up. I got to tell you a story. He set me up.
Yes, I did. I think I know what you're going to say.
Yes, I did.
So it was like the second or third pantry. You remember the story?
I think
second or third pantry. And there's this lovely young lady, and I'm talking about, couldn't be more than 22, 23. One kid in the stroller, one kid in the arm. And she comes in, and you could just see this is a person in need. So, you have these carts that are filled up with all different, whatever food stuff they have. Herb says, and I'm dressed in a t-shirt, and I look so non-rabbinical, and I'm helping her. She's getting everything, and he comes in and goes, "Oh, you met the rabbi, have you?" And the look on this woman's face was, "I'm sorry." That's the rabbi of the Jewish Fellowship. And she was like, and walking out to the parking lot, I've never met anybody Jewish before.
That is actually one of the best stories that you can tell, because that's what this community does. And,
yes.
We maintain our distinctives, but at the same time, we maintain our fellowship.
Right.
And if there's a project we can work on together, we do.
Right.
But he has a history of setting me up.
Good job.
He's always setting me up. But I love him for it. He's just terrific. But we have these things that we do in the community. That's what's so great about Hemlock Farms. That the community in a time of crisis, they are there.
Yeah.
I arrived here literally 5 days after 9/11. And the largest building in the place was the Fellowship, and they had a service that packed the place. And they still had people standing outside. I was told. You just see anytime there's a crisis. This community came together during COVID. If something is in need, if Herb needs something, or Kim needs something,
I love that.
they can call. Listen, they have this is what we do. Herb has been to. It's funny. He comes to my place for Yom Kippur. I go to his place for Christmas.
That's a good
We do
relationship. Yeah.
It was a little weird this year,
Going
but that
on
was
Yom
okay.
Kippur, there's no eating or anything. Why did you pick that one?
Because I need confession.
He was our keynote speaker. What was that, 3 years ago? 2 years ago? 2 years ago?
I think it's
3 years ago.
I think it's 3 because
Right.
David did it.
And then his son David, Dr. David Jacobson, who's also someone that we support, who runs the Ronald McDonald House up in Albany, New York. He was this last year.
Wait, when were you the keynote speaker? I never saw that.
3 years ago.
For Yom Kippur?
Yeah. Called Nidre Night. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Talked about the second commandment.
Okay.
And it was a lot of fun to be part of it. Of the group.
And he's come, I think it's been what, 8, 9 years in a row now.
Something like that.
Right. And he's even when we were on Zoom, he came on, he was online. And
Okay.
I think I've only missed one Christmas service since 2006.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Did you do Christmas live this year or no?
No.
Right.
But yeah, we invited people to come without requiring them to register ahead of time, but we didn't expect very many because those who were going to stay home were going to stay home.
Right, right.
And it's later in the afternoon or in the evening, so that's a different story. That was Christmas Eve. We got what we could.
Okay.
And it was a good turnout. Maybe 40, 50 people.
Are you bringing back some things like was it coffee time or it's like a? Explain that a little bit. Are you?
Well, we usually offer a fellowship time after services.
Okay.
We're a smaller group right now. We're running 20, 30, somewhere in that range in the house, in the church. The women who are doing it are actually fixing meals.
Okay.
So we sit down and have lunch together. It's not just coffee and a couple of cakes.
Oh, that's the best. Yeah.
You know, warm food, fresh. I mean, it's really nice.
That is really nice.
And people wait around. It probably takes another hour and a half just to get people out of the church.
And you have to be the last one.
I'm the last one.
You're the last one.
So, yeah.
And are you doing anything with, are there any children programming? I don't know, so I don't know if I'm putting you on the spot.
We've had it, but right now the children that we'd like to be around are not available right now. So we don't see them, but we're setting up to do a video or a movie night for the kids.
Nice.
Well, it'll be for the adults too, but when that gets going, we still have a few technical things to overcome, like getting a projector that we'd like to do. But
You can do it. We'll do it. And I know the fellowship has a Hebrew school that's
right. Our religious school is kind of in
flux a little bit right now
because we're closed.
Right.
The fellowship is currently closed through the end of February, as we try to, with our elderly membership. Even though we've had a nice influx of younger families that have joined in the last few months, we're cautionary.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let me see who's logged on here, and anybody has any questions for us. Let's see.
Let me tell a story while you're doing that.
I would love to hear that. Yeah.
This goes back to Father Hawley. We had a young boy from the high school killed in an automobile accident. And I'm not sure what the relation was, but his mother, I think, was Jewish and his father was Catholic. But
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
So the service was held for him in the Catholic Church because that would be large enough for all of us to be there. And at one point, Father Hawley, who was officiating, at the end of the service, said, those of you who are part of the fellowship, that is the Catholic Church, can come forward and receive communion as part of, or the Mass as part of the service. And Rabbi Bickart will be over here on the right-hand side. And for those of you from the Jewish Fellowship, he'll offer you a blessing and a prayer. And Reverend Jacobson will be on the left-hand side. And people came forward to each of the stations. I talked to Father Hawley afterward. I said, what's your favorite memory of the church, of the community? And that was his favorite memory. The three of us working together.
There was another one in the same one, because we did what the family wanted in this very tragic event was Father Hawley, who was very close to the family, to do a Mass, but they wanted a Jewish burial in Milford Cemetery. So basically we divided somehow I was able to get him to come. You remember the Hawks?
And I remember learning a lot more from you than I.
Right. So
it was a good.
It was bizarre. It was one of those days where you know it was going to rain. You didn't know it was going to be sunny. It was just, the weather was changing every other minute. It rained on the way to the cemetery. We got to the cemetery. It was not a cloud in the sky. And as they brought the coffin to rest on the there's a psalm that is said in and I was singing it, and as I'm looking up, these hawks are circling overhead, and it wasn't one, or it was like 3 or 4, and I started smiling. And was it you or who asked the question? Was it Gary?
Might have been Gary. I don't remember.
He goes, "What are you smiling at?" I said, "In Judaism, the tradition is when birds fly across above a funeral, they're waiting for the soul so their wings can take the soul up to heaven." You should have seen the look on Gary's face and his face. That's what they were doing. And I spent a few minutes explaining that to people. And that was the end. Didn't have to do anything else. The community talked about that. They didn't. That's what's special about this place. The only reason I tell you the story is it was really a 2-part, because people talked about what Gary, Father Hawley, experienced. I really like the fact that the Jews are here, I'm in the middle, giving communion, and you had, Pastor Herb on the other side, and it wasn't like everybody going to the middle. It was like everybody split in the groups and then commingled back. And then they went to the cemetery. Like they really didn't want this to end. It was just amazing. And that's this community just
coming together.
Just coming together.
He was officiating at the cemetery. And one of the things you ask people to do, which is part of the Jewish tradition, is to take a shovel, and after the service is over, you start putting the dirt back on top of the casket. But he explained, you never want the person to go in the first place, and whenever they die too early. Now, in that tradition, you take a few steps toward the burial plot, and then you stop.
Right.
And you take a few more, and then you stop again, because you don't want this.
Because once it's done, the soul departs, and that's the end of it. And you don't use the regular side of the spade, but you
turn it upside down.
You turn it upside down. So it takes forever.
The spade.
This really makes Orthodox Jews very, very unhappy in the winter. Because it's really cold.
But everybody picked up a shovel.
Right. Everybody. Yeah, it was
another great coming together of the community.
Right.
I don't remember who it was, but it was some guy from the Catholic Church in the Knights of Columbus. He was remarking, he was looking over and seeing the undertakers to the side going, "Oh, they're not, I don't know why we're even paying these guys."
Well, that's the way that goes. Does anybody have any questions or anything? You could put it in the chat, I think. Like I said, we're sort of winging it a little bit. The people just said hello. That's people saying hello. There's no questions yet.
Hello to you who said hello.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's
glad you tuned in.
So this is who's here. Here are the participants. Bernice Felzone, Brad Dow, Christine Spano, Diane Thaler, Jeff Kale, John McMillan. Hi, Kim. Oh, you got on. Good. Hi, Lisa and Rich. Hi, Terry.
I know I'm going to pay for that tomorrow.
You're right.
You get him, Kim. You get him. No, this one. Yeah, I'm backwards.
There was at least 2 other joint activities or ventures that involved the clergy and the community as a whole. One was after 9/11, officiating at services. And we did that for 6-7 years. I think it was 7, and then decided that there's this. From our point of view, there's a sense in which you don't run with this every year, because you bring a close to it. And 7 years is kind of a fullness of time. So we were ready to bring close to it. And then the fire company said, no. We're not going to do that, because they are the ones who had lost their Some of them work for the fire company, one of the fire companies in the city, and there's no way they were going to let that go. But they've continued to involve us, so that we're at each one of those, and we're happy to do it.
Nice.
Right. There's a concept of sabbatical concept. When you go through 7 years, you're basically, done with that.
I'm just making sure we're recording, actually, with all that hoopla. Oh, we are recording. Good. Okay. So that was the 9/11 you were talking about.
Yes, and that attendance actually began to go up when the fire department took it, when the Fire and Rescue took it over. That's very well attended, even though people have passed on and people have moved away. The younger people have come in and bridged that, and it's
a good thing to do.
It's a good thing to do, and it's still
right now. It takes on a different stance,
right?
Because when years ago, you could ask just about anybody, "Where were you when the towers came down?" And everybody has an answer. But right now, high school seniors were born when, or actually they're college freshmen right now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's one of my sons. Yeah.
So they have no memory of what happened. But there was another thing that came out of the food pantry, actually. This is 2 years ago, not this past year, but the prior year. And we realized if we're dealing with COVID, there are a lot of people who are suffering.
Yeah.
Obviously, the people who are coming for the food pantry are an indication of that. And at the height, I think we had maybe 120 families coming. That we're not there right now. But
and that's good. That's good.
That's good. But it was high. And I think you're the one that brought it up. What about helping the merchants in Hemlock Farms or in Lords Valley? And we contacted restaurants, 6 or 7 restaurants. We contacted hairdressers, and we figured they've got to be hurting. And then bought gift certificates and gave them out.
I'm very strongly believe in supporting local.
I think we even did gas and automotive stuff as well.
It was all local stuff.
All local stuff.
It was a way of just saying,
and we will continue to do that.
These are people who need help. As long as we're able to. Right. We'll do it again.
Yeah, that's
but
great.
We weren't making it an annual project necessarily. But we were able to do it, and we thought this is the right thing to do.
Yeah,
it helps. We bought all the gift certificates. Was it $300 each time?
No, it was more than that. I think
it probably was more than that. But each person got a $50 gift card.
Maybe Kim could tell us in the chat how much it was, but I think it was more than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But at any rate, that was one of the things that we were able to do. We had the money for it, and we thought it was a way of.
What's been really
letting everybody know.
Really cool about this is that we've done events as fundraisers, and we've done events, and we'll do something, and let's say we raise $500, whatever it is, and then the next day I'll get a call from Kim or a call from Pastor and say somebody matched what we made last night.
Wow.
That's awesome. And you're like, wow,
that's great. That's good stuff.
Yeah, and then a week later, somebody found out, was really upset that weren't approached, and they matched the match.
Wow.
So, instead of having $500, you now get $2,000. And, it's been,
it's great.
It just shows how great our community is.
It is a good community.
It's a great community.
And I think the food pantry in microcosm, at least what happens on that day, is really a good indication of the support the community gives.
Yeah.
Granted, the fellowship and the church are probably spearheading this more than anybody else's. St. John's has its own food pantry, which they do very well with. We try and work with them on that. But if you look at who shows up, either to put the tables together or to bring the food out or whatever it is, it's a good microcosm of the community as a whole.
Yeah.
The Knights of Columbus does some really great stuff.
They're phenomenal.
They do at least once a month. They have this Sunday dinner thing. I don't know how they deal with that during football season, which is, usually some great game is on while they're serving, but you see that there's no manipulation here. It's like people look forward to the social time. Of course they look forward to getting a meal out of it, but it's
always a meal.
It's
you feed them and they will come.
Feed them, they will come, but you also have this. It's not camaraderie. There's another word I'm looking for. There's a passion in Hemlock. there's a passion in this community that's unique. We've been to a couple of I've been to a meeting. I took him to a meeting down in Milford recently, and we walked down and went, boy, we got it great in Hemlock.
Yeah, we do have it good in Hemlock. Kim is saying we had about 10 different locations, 15 to 20 cards each location, handed out to about 50 families. Wow. Kim, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, I also know that your clothing drive, I was there helping one time, and Ruth Ann put a vest on and she printed out a mustache. And so she was doing Sonny Bono impersonations. She's so funny. She's such a good force in that church. But with the clothing drive, there were many different people coming together to help set it up. I mean, I wasn't there on the day that they did it, and I'm sure Kim and all of your usuals were very overwhelmed, but I see how people are coming together, and it's all for the benefit of everybody else in the community, not necessarily the benefit of the church. You know, we want to make everybody else comfortable. Yeah.
But the institutions help each other out. I mean, this is, you know, when we were having a problem getting our building secure from COVID, the church offered some of the cleaning people to come in, and Bernice came and did a great job. And you know, there's a cooperation here that is very, very unique.
I love it.
That you don't really, you find other communities, but you find it, you know, at arm's length sometimes, because it's like, okay, you know, not here. No, not here. I mean, there was even a discussion 2 years ago about possibly doing the Neela service, the ending of the Yom Kippur service, in the fellowship hall of the church. That was actually something that had been offered by the pastor when we couldn't get into our building. This is you know, this is just what makes this place is great. It really is.
Well, I love it when we come together, both the houses
of worship. The realtors, on the other hand,
we're awesome. Speaking of which, if you're just logging on, I am Ina Phillip. I'm interviewing these two holy high rollers of Hemlock Farms. I am a mom. I'm a full-time resident of Hemlock Farms.
What exactly do you consider a high roller? What's your definition?
The two of you people. And I'm an associate broker at Century 21 Country Lake Homes. So anyway, to wrap up, is there anything you want people to know that we haven't covered about either of your houses of worship, a certain program you want to get out there, or just any goals or any hopes for your houses? Anything?
Yeah, I've got one that I'd love to share because we didn't get to do it this year.
No.
We were going to have a Thanksgiving service.
Got canceled twice. Right? Twice, yeah.
Yeah. Have you gone to the recycling center and seen Larry up there picking Coke cans out of the recycling area, popping off the tops?
The tops. Oops, hold on. Can you hear me that? Oh.
Monday Night Football?
Sorry about that. That's my husband's phone. I don't know where he is. All right, so go ahead. I'm so sorry about that.
Well, we want to acknowledge Larry, because he's been doing this for a very long time, and he does a great job with that.
What is that?
He collects the pull tabs, and then donates them to Ronald McDonald House. And Ronald McDonald House will sell them, and they will help fund themselves. Now, part of our doing, at least part of my thinking, was we sometimes forget how small acts have big implications. Is what he would have referred to an act of loving kindness.
Exactly.
Because you got to go out of your way to do it, to take care of somebody, but it doesn't look like you did a whole lot.
Right.
I think you need a pound of those little tabs.
Right.
How many of those equal?
For 6 cents.
For 6 cents.
Oh my gosh, how many of them equal a pound? Like, how much is it?
6 cents per pound.
Yeah. Oh, how many tabs?
But like, how many tabs is it?
A few hundred.
Yeah, about that.
Okay.
All right. Now, the speaker was going to be David, who works at the Ronald McDonald House in Albany. They've been heavily affected by affected by COVID. They literally were told you can't house any more families in your facility. You got to put them, if you're going to do anything, you got to put them up in a hotel, which they did.
Okay.
They put them up in hotels so they could stay with their kids. This is going to sound strange, but they generated an awful lot of money through selling those tabs. Enough to support them with $18,000.
Oh my gosh. I can't do the math, but wow.
Well, figure it out. Right. It took a lot of
Trying to say a truck full of nothing but these tabs.
Now, Larry, at the last time I went up, I brought one of his tubs. He has a tub like this.
Got a like a 13-gallon cup.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I took it up, and now they will have sold that, and that'll be in this year's report, but because it came up a little too late for the previous year.
Okay.
But even that's gone down a little bit, and probably for humorous reasons, not just good ones. A lot of those tabs come from fire companies and from
people who are up all night.
Yeah.
Or war veterans.
Or yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if they're not doing a lot of drinking, you don't get a lot of tabs.
Okay, great.
But what a wonderful lesson. You collect this little tab and you make a contribution, and it helps. And we had everybody doing it. Little kids were doing it.
Yeah.
And adults were doing it. It turned out to be it's a really nice thing. But it was also wanted him to speak so he could tell us, number one, we use those tabs. And thank you for what you donated. But add to it, and let me tell you who we helped. And he did that with the dedication of the house up there. He had the dedication prayer or the farewell at it, and did a great job. But we sometimes forget what some families are going through.
Yeah.
Especially with small children. And somehow sorrow overcomes the reticence of people to get together and talk, because they have a common experience. My child's at the hospital. My child's at the hospital. They come back to Ronald McDonald House, and they are a support group for each other. And that becomes a real asset to the parents and to anyone else who's around.
Absolutely.
And David had those stories, so I was looking forward to him sharing them. And unfortunately, COVID knocked us out. So we never did pull that off. Maybe next year we can do it.
Okay.
But I wanted people to know that your act of kindness may not be very big, but every act of loving kindness is worth something.
Yeah.
And if it's as small as a couple of tabs off a Coke can or a beer can or whatever, God bless you for that.
Wow, that's
amazing. I'm going to just say that.
Any closing?
It's very simple. Judaism, the rule of thumb is tikkun olam, to repair the world. And I think that's why we get along so well, is that we share the same philosophy, not the same theology, but we share a lot of the same philosophy. To me, Hemlock Farms is the center of the universe, and everything else is a suburb. That's how I look at it. So when you have one small act of kindness, the ripple effect. We're dealing with Albany, New York, the capital region of Ronald McDonald House. The fellowship has supported it. I know that the church has supported it. This is his son, who's just a brilliant young man. And he has taken an institution and turned it on its head and made it fun to get money. Because you see the results. I was honored to be able to put a mezuzah. For those who don't know, that's a little Jewish doorpost thing that you put up there. And I said, this is great. You built this house. The house was donated by a Jewish family. So I said it was appropriate to do this. And I remember saying to the people that were there, I don't know how many people were there, but it was a gorgeous day up in Lake George.
A few hundred.
And I said, it's meaningless what you do today. It's what you do tomorrow that counts. And that worked. So giving those little tabs today, just keep doing it. Take them up to Larry. Let them keep going. Make it seem like trivial to you, but it isn't. It's helping somebody. Second Harvest, what happened in the church, when you put a smile on the face of a human being who is, they're not working, they're isolated because of COVID, they have children who are hungry, they have a roof over their head, and you provide them something, and you just, for 5 minutes, even 5 seconds, or 5 hours, however long it is, let them know that someone cares. Let them know that someone's out there trying to work for them and trying to help them. Change their perspective changes everything. Helping someone walking out of Weiss's carrying a bag, you know, someone elderly, changes the perspective. It's an act of loving kindness, changes everything. Keep it up. And that's what Hemlock Farms is.
That is
Hemlock Farms
is, yeah.
to me is one massive community of loving kindness. That's exactly how I feel about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I love it here. I love it here.
I absolutely love it here.
When I go to list a house, I say, if you're ready to leave, now's the time, but I don't really want you to leave because it's the best place to live. Anyway, thank you, Rabbi Bickhart. Thank you, Pastor Herb. This was our my first webinar. It kind of had a couple of glitches. I'm hoping it did record and that it's somewhere in the cloud and that we can upload it. Yeah, recover it somewhere. It's supposedly recording. All right.
It's recording up in the top right corner.
Oh, it is recording up there. So I'll find it somewhere and I'll upload it.
Well, what's going to happen is it's when you turn off, it's going to save. It's going to take a few hours to condense itself, and it's going to save to a file.
Thank you, Christine. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Terry. Thank you to my husband for sweeping up the house really, really quickly. Thank you, Lorna, for joining. Thank you, John. Thank you, Jeff. You're always a big supporter. Thank you, Brad, and thank you, Diane, and thank you, Bernice. Thank you for joining my first webinar, and hopefully we'll see you again. All right. Good night.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for putting this together.
Oh.